Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This video is a one-story video with a post from Am I the A-hole with an update and a final update. So if you want to go ahead and get started with today's story, just use the timestamps below the video. Now let's get started with that story. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user TimeCaterpillar24. Am I the a-hole for ruining my friend's wedding by first refusing to give her my own wedding and then for crying when I was made to leave in a semi-public space? Disclaimer: English is not our primary language. I'm not from the US, I'm from South Asia. The cast of characters is my partner, A, entitled friend, EF, entitled friend's parents, EFP, and my parents, P. My partner, A, 28 male, and I, 25 female, were scheduled to marry this year. A and I and my family would be paying for it. Months before the wedding, A got injured, and we put a hold on the ceremony. The date we had picked was also of importance for us. Several vendors couldn't refund us, such as the decorator, the food, and the location. A and I were leading towards having a small party instead on the same day. My friend, the entitled friend, 27 female, was also engaged. After A and I cancelled our own wedding, I had been talking to her and telling her about it. She said, "It would be funny if I had my wedding there on that day instead." I firmly said no, as that day was still a significant day for me, and I would be planning something else for that day. Entitled friend then led her parents to believe that I offered her the venue, food, and decorations. It was only when they visited my family to give them the wedding invites that my parents learned of this. My parents were in the loop about my own plans with the location. However, my entitled friend started crying, asking her godparents, my parents, to agree. My parents did not confirm till they had spoken to me. So, entitled friend's parents, entitled friend, and my parents wanted to convince me, but I said no. Entitled friend and entitled friend's parents started accusing my parents of having raised their hopes and going back on their words. Under coercion, A and I felt obligated to say yes. Entitled friend invited me to her wedding as a bridesmaid. I declined to attend. I told entitled friend that my parents were free to attend. This resulted in a breakdown on her end, with all her friends and family calling to yell at me. She threatened to cancel the wedding if I was not present. My fiance asked me to reconsider. I agreed to attend and let entitled friend know that I would be attending. On the day of the wedding, I contacted a mutual friend to ask the color of the bride and the bridal party outfits, to not clash with them. However, entitled friend's parents pulled me aside to demand that I had to go change, as entitled friend wore something similar. I made it clear that if I left, I would not be coming back. The argument grew from there and I walked out. I broke down and cried in the parking lot. I was surrounded by some of our mutual friends. I was not aware of the fact that entitled friend's boss was just around the corner and overheard me crying and was upset at entitled friend's behavior. Other guests nearby were starting to crowd, but I was too distressed to see anyone else. After we left, this spread like wildfire at the wedding, with several guests either scolding entitled friend's parents and entitled friend, and many others walking out. My parents scolded me for acting the way I did and for ruining entitled friend's marriage, as well as angry messages, social media posts, and angry voicemails from many of her parents and her family and friends, calling me a spoiled brat and attention floozy. Even when entitled friend's parents have been telling people that they paid for the whole wedding and that I'm just throwing a tantrum to gain attention, I confirmed with my parents they did not pay. I think I might be the a-hole because I could have been more sensitive to my friend and agreed to give her the wedding in the first place, or I could have not cried in the parking lot, which in hindsight was a very public space. I could have also been more accommodating with the outfit change. So, am I the a-hole? Well, OP, from what I read from your story, I would believe you're not the a-hole and your entitled friend is the a-hole for actually taking away your wedding day and making it all about her. Now, I'm not gonna pretend and know what your culture is like, so there are many cultural implications here that I have no idea about. So all I can say is that I believe you are not the a-hole. What about you guys? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they think. Mogeti says, not the a-hole. Let me get this straight. Your friend threatened to cancel her wedding if you didn't attend, and instead of laughing at her idiocy, you actually agreed to attend? Why? You could have just told her to go ahead and cancel the wedding. And OP responds, I had to cut this out due to the word limit. In our culture, once you give your word, if you go back, you are shamed and abused, and you fall in the eyes of your society. The blame for it would fall on my parents. So basically, Entitled Friend created a fiction in my family's social circle that my wedding was promised to her. And by not giving her the wedding, she would have made it appear as if I had promised it to her and then backed down from that promise, leaving her with a wedding all planned out, but then the rug pulled from under her, and that would have been social death to my parents. New Here Anon says, not the a-hole. Of course not. But I would say you are somewhat of an a-hole towards yourself for letting your friend walk all over you like that. Entitled Friend asking to use the venue should have been a no and stayed a no, and then got it for free as well? Girl, never allow this kind of disrespect again. You also need to get a U-Haul, pack all Entitled Friends' parents, all mutual friends, and throw them all away. And OP responds, I completely agree with the me being an a-hole towards myself. However, in our culture, reputation is a big thing, and when my parents started getting abuse, after my fiancé and I spent the entire day running from one hospital to another for tests, it was too much and I couldn't say no. Shining Sparks says, not the a-hole. I would suggest telling everyone a very simple version of the story. I was pressured into attending Entitled Friend's wedding that was originally planned and paid for by myself and or my parents. Entitled Friend told her parents that I willingly gave her my wedding when I did not. I did not want to attend, but had given my word that I would go. Short and to the point, and highlighting that you were uncomfortable with all of this, but were pressured into it. That being said, from other comments you have left, I understand that this might not be culturally acceptable. If so, I offer my sympathy. I hope you are able to reduce contact with this friend and have a wonderful life with your partner. And OP responds, this is something I can actually do. I've already been talking to family and friends about it. Okay, well, the community absolutely agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and OP was able to clear up some more things that at least had me confused regarding, the cultural acceptance and all that stuff. Anyways, as you know, OP has given us 2 updates, so let's move on with the first one. I know it's only been a few hours, but I do have an update. I did manage to get in touch with the vendor providing all 3 services, and turns out Entitled Friend led them to believe that the wedding was no longer going to take place due to a disagreement between mine and my partner's families. So we had asked her to prepone her wedding to replace mine, and that we were going through a lot, so she would be the new point of contact from that point onwards. We also had a mutual family friend step in and speak to them in a manner as if they had not heard from us yet. Turns out, Entitled Friend's parents were made to believe that they had paid for the wedding by Entitled Friend, who collected a lump sum of money from her parents. It was only later that she came clean to them about it, and so instead of confessing their error, they decided to double down and enforce it further. We finally also sent out a long message to Entitled Friend and her parents to warn them about their behavior and that we would be speaking to everyone we knew about it. They are yet to respond, but many friends and family have reached out to check on us and console us as all this happened literally a day back. They have been kind and have been sharing other cases of backstabbing by this family that my family was not aware of. They have also been hearing our side of the story and are strongly defending us. Wow, so this friend just keeps getting better and better. What the hell, man? First of all, she coerced OP into giving her everything regarding her wedding, and then duped her own parents to giving her more money because she said she was gonna pay OP but actually pocketed the money. Wow, some people are just too much. Anyways, as we know, OP has given us a final update, so let's continue with that and get closure to this whole saga. I wanted to explain the vendor situation since people are really caught up about it. So, the vendors were basically a single hotel with a spacious community hall. We had a down payment placed which was quite sizable, but a small portion was still left to be paid. The agreement was word of mouth as this is a privately owned business from someone within the community. The reason why we could not cancel is that they book single events a day and not multiple, and if we cancelled it would be a major revenue loss for them for the day, from what I understood. Also, a lot of you are being abusive towards my parents. They were equally ambushed in this entire situation. Yes, they could have been firm and not pressured me, but they did what they thought best in the situation. So many of you are so blissfully unaware of social cues and cultures beyond a very westernized or Eurocentric culture. Sometimes small migratory communities exists where rules of the community often take precedence. All of you asking me to grow a backbone? Thanks, I guess. Now on to the relevant bit. My entitled friend and her husband have left for their honeymoon in Paris. Yes, in the middle of the pandemic. The honeymoon is being paid for with the money she collected from her parents in name of paying us back. Her parents and mine met again yesterday after all this unraveled within the far extended community, and they were shamed to get in touch with us as soon as possible. Her parents were duped by their own child into paying a large amount of money, which she decided to use to take a vacation, as otherwise her partner and her could not afford to be paying for it themselves. Her family is apologetic, but we have made it clear that we would like to see the money returned, even if in small installments, by next year when my partner and I have decided to tie the knot. We will also no longer remain in touch with the family, and they agree it might be for the best. Entitled Friend's in-laws have also heard of it and have cut off Entitled Friend and her family until we are paid in full. We will go ahead and get legally married, but we'll wait for a civil marriage until we move in together. Entitled Friend is currently in deep water with her family, who have decided to cut her off and cancel all access to them financially. Her family is rather well off, but she herself is not the most stable. However, as in most South Asian cultures, kids tend to live with their families for a majority of their lives, if not all their lives. Entitled Friend's mother has also since apologized for how she acted about the outfit change. Entitled Friend had instructed her to ask me to go change as she was not happy about my presence, as she felt I would be taking the limelight away from her with my, in her own words, hobbling fiancé and I becoming the center of attention, as people would flock to sympathize with us or congratulate us, instead of focusing on her. Like, damn, at least she could have waited until I had some of that amazing wedding food. The reason they have so much power over us is that our families have been friends for generations. Entitled Friend's grandfather helped pay for my grandfather's housing while our family was nearly rendered homeless, and they also took my father in when times were tough, so as to ensure he got the best of the care and his education and schooling were not hampered. As is also very common in South Asian communities, loved ones often gather together as financial support during major life events. So did they. They stepped in and helped pay for my mother's medical expenses when I was born due to the absolute trauma my birth was on her and the medical nightmare it turned into. There were so many other instances of her family swooping in to help us, including this year when I lost a grandparent and they supported us through the sheer emotional drain it was on us. We cannot just brush past these instances and jump to cutting people off, until now. While I will always be very grateful for Grandpa and Grandma on Entitled Friend's end, I cannot extend the same for her. I felt like an a-hole, I really did at the time I started writing this. I was emotionally exhausted. I had everyone around me scold me for a very public outburst. South Asians and emotions don't go hand in hand, unlike in our beloved over-the-top movies. Entitled Friend was also nearly fired, which added to the hate I was getting from those around me. Entitled Friend also apparently cried during the ceremony when she heard about it, and the tears of a bride always pull at heartstrings. I was being told I could have done the decent thing and agreed to be a bridesmaid, as I am her closest friend. I was being told I should not have had a very public breakdown. I was told that my family could have been gracious in giving them the wedding and then sorted it amongst ourselves later in private, rather than creating an unsightly scene. I genuinely felt like a right bastard when I had originally written the 9,000 odd character post that I had to seriously edit to fit 3,000 characters. So thank you, Reddit. This was a dumpster fire from start to end, but I am also so happy this got sorted as fast as it did. Apparently, being in a fight with your oldest friends also means you both are ready to put things aside for a minute to have a civil conversation. Wow, OP, this was a roller coaster from start to end. I am sorry that you had to go through all of this. I'm not gonna pretend that I understand all of the social dynamics of your culture, so I'm not gonna comment on any of it. All I'm gonna say is that your friend or your ex-friend truly sucks. She made this whole scene about canceling the wedding if you weren't a bridesmaid or if you didn't attend or something like that, and then when you actually get there, she has her parents run interference and kick you out because she didn't want you there in the first place? I have no idea if that is tied to the social and cultural aspects of this whole thing, but she sucks for doing that. In any case, you say that you are happy with the outcome and can move forward. So I'm just gonna say congratulations on the upcoming wedding. I hope you and your partner are super happy. Take care, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing, and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.